Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Arc Raiders. Today we're talking tier lists because I made a tier list very recently and then boom, the first relevant balance patch update and a new weapon was added. So patch 1.3 has made some changes to weapons, specific ones quite significantly, kind of making my video out of date within days. Fantastic. So what we're going to do today is take a quick look at where I placed everything before. So here is my PvE list, here is my PvP list. Now I'm going to do a pretty fast and shallow recap of all the placements. If you want in-depth reasoning, proper gameplay showcasing of each weapon, check out the original video, we put a lot of work into it. And then I'm going to make the changes that I want to make. A couple things are going to move around, especially with the rebalance stuff. And of course, the new weapon, the Aphelion. First up, a quick, fast recap of the PvE list and where things are and why. First up, the hairpin. Absolutely love this gun, but we can all acknowledge it's not good. Light ammo with that cock you have to do between each shot. It's really fun to be accurately taking out turbines, but that's about all you're going to be doing. C tier, we have the Rattler with its pathetically small mag and awkward reloading. It's just not one of the best guns in the game. For the Toro, ultimately it's a fantastic PvP weapon, but it uses shotgun ammo and has a delay between shots. Shotgun ammo has no arc pen, much like light ammo, so it's just not good for it. But if something flies close to you like a wasp, it's satisfying to blast it. At the top of B tier, we still have the Torrent. It serves a fantastic purpose in the right context, like when your team has aggro on a bastion and you're standing behind it at the battery, you'll do work, but you leave yourself exposed while dumping mags, and it's really bad for flyers as it bounces them away with its stopping power. Of course it can work, but there are plenty of times where it kind of backfires on you. With that we have the Beretta. I really like this gun. There's no recoil, you can fire it really quick. As you upgrade it, you get to reload really quick. You get to do these precise, satisfying shots like the hairpin, but without the downsides. But ultimately, light ammo holds it back, so it's still B tier. Osprey, I like for precise punishment. Medium shots are still good when you're hitting this specific weak point, the battery of a bombardier, bastion, whatever, or taking out flyers, and specifically breaking off parts that matter. But there's a pause between each shot that's just horrible. Then we have the rest of B tier, which is light ammo firing options, Kettle, Stitcher, Bobcat. I put them basically the same because they're firing weak light ammo. If you mag dump into a target and kill it quick like a wasp or whatever, it's fine, but they're just not good arc killers generally. Lastly, we have the Vulcano. Same issues as the Toro, but it gets to fire its mag and dump it out quicker, so it's definitely better than the Toro for this purpose. Then we get into the best stuff, really. I put Pharaoh at the top of A because it's just the most cost-effective PvE gun in the game. You can buy one for dirt cheap and upgrade it for comically cheap, and at level 4 the reload time is basically cut in half. The Renegade's right behind that, as it is a more reliable weapon but requires more investment obviously. Precise shooting quickly with it as you upgrade it and get better fire rate feels amazing. Plus you can have a nice suppressor on this in a reliable way, killing arc quietly. Right next to it I had the Venator before the nerf. You can just mag dump into targets with medium ammo and do great work. Bombardiers, especially unarmored, are a good example for that. Also in A tier behind that I had the Equalizer, which I feel had too many issues in regards to the wind-up time, how slow you're moving, how exposed you are. The energy ammo strips armor and is fantastic for that purpose, but the raw damage it has once you're through that armor is actually quite a wet noodle situation. So it best shines when you're breaking weak points and joints and armor off in combination with someone else. To be honest, I feel like I underrated its PvE potential, so it will have a slight adjustment. Behind that we have the Arpeggio, Bettina, and Tempest. The Arpeggio and Tempest fire medium ammo and will be reliable for sending precise shots into the target to break off the weak points. If it's not armored, it'll do great. If it is armored, it can work, but it doesn't have the stopping power and armor penetration of other calibers. With the Bettina, it fires heavy ammo, but much lower damage per shot compared to a Pharaoh or Anvil, less than half, and it does have recoil issues and fire rate problems. Fully upgrade it to help with that. Use attachments to manage the recoil, and you still find yourself with a gun that's not as good as an Anvil for this purpose. So you gotta ask yourself, what is the Bettina for? And when are they gonna buff it? That brings us to S tier with the all-rounder Anvil, which does everything great. Great fire rate and recovery when fully upgraded. Doesn't really need attachments to work, and honestly I love it with a suppressor. Any gun plus Anvil means I've always got an option for any scenario. Long range, PvE, PvP, it's a great weapon, but it hits hard every time and it fires faster than the Pharaoh. Lastly, for S tier, I also had the Jupiter, which I feel people underrated, especially for the purpose of PvE. It's the same as the Equalizer with energy ammo. It's going to penetrate through armor really well, but it has a unique property where it penetrates and goes straight through. This is why sometimes you one-shot like a Wasp or a Hornet, sometimes you don't. It depends where you actually beam it. Each shot really hurts and can be fired from comically long distances, so it is ultimately fantastic. It just has pauses between shots, which you'll definitely feel, but if you're accurately aiming at the weak points and dismantling properly, or aiming correctly to penetrate, it feels really good. Last up, we had Hullcracker in S+. Obvious reasons, 100 damage a shot, unbelievable gun, the best PvE gun. And now it's been heavily nerfed in like 3 ways. So we'll get to that. Right, let's see if we can do the PvP recap faster. Starting with a hairpin. If you use the hairpin in PvP, you're a Chad, one of the best gamers in the game. Informing someone you just killed them with a hairpin is like just serotonin. But come on, it's the hairpin. It's not good. Right above it, we have the Rattler. Same reasons as always, you know, tiny mag, awkward reloading, unreliable weapon. I don't like it. Before, in B tier, I had the Pharaoh. I rate this as one of the best budget weapons in the game. And of course, you can always just fire it and swap to a different weapon, having cracked their armor. It's super good. Alongside that, I had the Equalizer. Its DPS potential and kill potential is incredible in PvP. I really enjoy it when it's going and you get to swing on someone or trade on someone. But if they punish your slow movement or the whir up time, you'll die before you even get to fire at them or get much damage out. You're so exposed to utility and you're a free headshot machine, which really sucks. In A tier then, we had Tempest. Just an all-rounder reliable weapon, great at medium to long ranges, will work in close range. Upgrading it sorts the horizontal recoil issues, you can get a vertical grip to sort the vertical issues, and then it just becomes a sort of beam. Unfortunately, there are many weapons in this game that are going to out-trade it at close range. It's just an all-rounder reliable weapon as an assault rifle. The Arpeggio, when fully upgraded and attached, also feels pretty great and will work at medium-long ranges and burst people down surprisingly quick with its fire rate burst at close range. But it requires full investment to say those things in a fair way. When it's unupgraded, the fire rate is abysmal, and if it's not got attachments, the bounce of the triple shot is just unreliable. Up in A tier, I also have the Beretta as a reliable out-the-box item. Upgraded, you're just getting faster fire rate, so you don't even need that. Suppress it and it's like a hairpin if it was good. Super accurate, basically no recoil, super fun headshot machine. Behind that, I had the Bettina, which is much like the Kettle, but with more damage per shot, heavy ammo. And at the time, I felt less downsides. These days, I feel like the Kettle is just a better weapon, because when we look at the Kettle, and there's basically no recoil on this thing when it's upgraded, the velocity issues are removed when it's upgraded, it's super budget and cheap to upgrade. It can be a real PvP monster for a budget, much like the Stitcher. Behind it, we got the Jupiter and the Osprey for your sniping options. The Jupiter hits harder, but requires that charge up time. The range of it's insane and it feels like that's just hit scan. You're gonna crack a shield with it like every time. The problem is that you now have to like pull back the next shot, put the next one in, and by that time they're behind cover healing up. If you catch someone out in the middle of a team fight though, God is it great, with good positioning, using it at a medium to longer range. That's how it's meant to be used and that's where it shines. Much like the Osprey, it actually has a scope. You can accurately shoot people. You want to headshot people with this. Give it an extended barrel so you've got more like hit scan effect at longer range. But ultimately the medium ammo and the long pause between the shots means my experience with the Osprey is usually popping someone and then them going to cover to heal up. Much like the Jupiter, you need to catch people out in the middle of a fight where they're already committed and then you're punishing them from an off angle somewhere. In S tier, we have the all-rounder Anvil. It does everything great with high fire rate for up close and plenty of potential at medium-long range if you pick your shots, especially if you crouch. Alongside that, we have the Renegade with the medium ammo. Get this upgraded with a fire rate and it becomes a real machine. Get a nice stock on it and it recenters for you every shot. It feels great. There's never a bad time to have a Renegade in your hands because you can also just hip fire and mag dump onto someone if they're up close. But obviously, close range weapons that specialize in that are going to beat it. Next, we have the Vulcano as a mag dumping machine, a stat checking monster. It's going to be really hard to beat one of these up close if you're both trading blindly. Similar to the Bobcat, which wants to mag dump as quick as it can with its fire rate. It will require upgrading though and attachments to manage its awkward recoil problems without doing those things. But when you have the investment in it, it will serve you well. But does it serve you much better than a Stitcher and a Kettle for the much greater cost we just discussed? Not really. Up there with it, we have the all-reliable Toro. Everyone loves this movement machine. It encourages a really fun playstyle between pumps. And if you aim your shots really well, you can fire, pump the shotgun, fire again, they're dead. Which always feels incredible. Up there as well then is the Stitcher for mag dumping. Fully upgrade it to level 4 for comically cheap like the Kettle or the Pharaoh. Even base attachments will serve you well. So for low investment, you're getting incredible output with this light ammo dumping machine. Alongside the Kettle, but the Kettle again has the downside to spam clicking, which people just don't like apparently. Lastly in S tier we have the Torrent, which is up there for time to kill. It doesn't require upgrading investment, it requires attachment investment to manage its recoil and get the biggest mag possible. Firing into a target at relatively close, it's going to be one of the faster kill times in the game, but you do need to sort of swing on someone being set up, but it is a super 1v3 potential weapon for sure, if you just keep getting the quick 1v1s. And then last up before any changes, we had the Venator in S+, because it was the best weapon for PvP in the game. That wasn't debatable. Close range to medium range, it's a monster, firing more shots than anyone else in a shorter time. it was just the best weapon to have in your hands for PvP at close to medium range. But now it's time to talk about the new placements and reorganize things where we need to. We're going to start with the PvE list and the new weapon, the Aphelion, which I'm going to put nicely up into S tier. I spent all yesterday playing around with this thing in PvE and PvP, by the way. I've used it against everything. So here's the highlight. It fires high velocity energy rounds, which means it has that similar stopping power of the Torrent, but better, as you cause wasps and hornets and anything flying to flip around. And I do mean everything flying, including rocketeers. Look how it tries to fire at me, and as I shoot into the turbine, I cause it to flip around, interrupting its fire. So, for control of targets, it's one of the best in the game. In terms of output, you've got incredible stripping energy ammo, so you rip off the plates and leave things exposed. This is then best in combo with a different weapon that can now punish the revealed weaknesses. It's best used in combination then with a teammate, whether it's duo or trios, because the Aphelion is basically punishing and bullying the target so it can't move and is stripping all of its armor, and then the teammate is using something that's going to destroy that newly exposed weak spot in a second. It works for ground targets too, like the Leaper, as you cause it to bumble around, rip off legs, and can't really do much. The big problem for PvE with the Aphelion, it doesn't have like the firepower behind the velocity and stripping aspect. So once you've stripped the armor, you're not actually hitting that hard anymore. Breaking the armor is what seems to cause these like freak reactions. So once you're not doing that anymore, it's just not that effective. It will work at incredible ranges though, but unlike other special weapons, you can put attachments on it. So a vertical grip is going to help that second shot be close to the original shot, especially if you crouch. I will say, fair warning, it's particularly bad against bastions and bombardiers where you're just not getting the firepower, the stripping nature out of the weapon. So those are going to be the worst targets for the weapon overall. Right now, I feel like it's the premium armor stripping weapon, because while the Equalizer will strip armor better, the Equalizer has you held down and exposed where the Aphelion doesn't at all. So I prefer it. Having said that, I would put the Equalizer up to the top of A now to give it the respect it kind of deserves for its stripping armor potential and raw output that it can have when it gets going. Throw a showstopper at a target and then you get to free fire and it's a different story. Just, I wouldn't use the Equalizer on my own, I'd use it in a team. Now for PvE, we got to talk about the Venator. The change was this. Reduced the fire rate gained from upgrades from 22, 44, and 60% to the new 13, 26, and 40%. So in simple terms, they haven't messed with the gun's function at all except for the fire rate. So the current level 4 Venator fires slower than the previous level 3 Venator slightly. They also slightly increased the weight from 2 to 5. What does this mean for PvE? Pretty much nothing. You're going to mag dump into the target. It's going to be pretty quick at it with its fire rate. I wouldn't really move it in PvE. But now the major one for PvE, the Hullcracker. It used to be the best weapon for killing Ark and doing PvE content in general, undeniably. Now, it's kind of off of its god placement. It's still overall your best option for killing Ark because it's the most accessible one. You're going to get access to Hullcrackers and launcher ammo a lot easier than special weapons, their blueprints, and then also the energy ammo is super expensive too. You'll get your hands on Hullcracker and launcher ammo easier. But right now, the best option for killing Big Ark is probably deadlines and nades in terms of cost to reward, because the Hullcracker has become a massive investment with much greater risk to use it because the kills are slower on top. So you're expending more to actually have it in your hands functionally, and then it takes longer to kill stuff, so you're making a lot of noise, you're more exposed for longer. So it's been nerfed in terms of accessibility, nerfed in terms of expense, and nerfed in terms of damage too. It's 3 major changes stacked on top of each other. So again, still a top tier weapon for PvE, it's just harder to run. Like, it's still great to use, but the cost of running it is now a proper issue. Which is definitely a good thing, but have they gone too far? Probably. So that's the PvE update. Let's now go to the PvP update. Let's just get straight to it then. The Venator. It is no longer in a league of its own. It is no longer S+. Again, the change is that they've nerfed the max fire rate potential. As you upgrade it, you get less fire rate. The result at level 4 feels like the previous level 3 Venator, but slightly weak than that. As you can see, you're still doing the damn same thing you were doing before. Out trading people by trying to headshot them with the double shots and putting them down hilariously quick. A level 4 Venator is still going to out trade most scenarios if you're using it properly. But now, things can compete with it. A Volcano might beat it, a Bobcat might beat it, a Toro might beat it, even a Stitcher might beat it. It's how it should be now, which is one of the best weapons for PvP in the game, undeniably, but not like the clear best choice so obviously, which means it's well worth using still. Before I get to the Aphelion then, I want to take the Kettle and move it up. I would rather use the Kettle than the Arpeggio, the Beretta, and definitely the Bettina. Again, it's like a no recoil headshot machine. If you just trade with people like a bot, they'll stand there and trade with you, and you just get to do free headshots. You need to hit them 7 times in the head, which is really easy and you can do really quick as you just spam click. There's no recoil when it's fully upgraded and got basic attachments. Again, what holds it back is the fact that you have to do this absolute click spam, which makes it a chore to use over many raids back to back, and will certainly continue to put people off, which is still valid. But it deserves an acknowledgement. It's definitely better than the Beretta, which has a similar purpose. So, the Aphelion for PvP. I'm going to put it nicely here in A tier, above the Arpeggio. So take a look at the Aphelion in PvP. You're able to fire it at medium to longer ranges accurately and effectively with the right attachments. If you're playing around that medium range properly, you are able to gun people down in a way that few other weapons can at these ranges. A Jupiter and Osprey are going to be great at these ranges, but then they have this nightmarish pause between them. This has the kill pressure. If they've got a light or medium shield, you need to successfully click on them 3 times with the second shot also hitting them. If they have a heavy shield, you need to successfully click on them 4 times with the second shot hitting them. At range, this freaks people out. You hit them once with the double shot, their shield is like gone or broken, hit them again, and they're now basically 1 health. So I love using this at a medium range, which is what it's designed for. And in these team fights, you can see how I'm intentionally playing around that effective range. You can run up to people, but you need to be wary, because in that context, it won't be as good as the Arpeggio, which has more burst potential with its fire rate. You will need to play around corners and cover, and if someone's not paying attention to you and you got this in your hands, you put them down so quick. So honestly, I'm really enjoying using it in PvP, and then anytime any art gets involved other than a Bastion Bombardier, I'm able to deal with it really effectively, especially Rocketeers, which is a huge plus. But yeah, here are my updated list then for the new patch. This is the PvP list, nothing is S+ anymore, and this is the PvE list, nothing is S+ anymore. Interesting. Is this good for the game? I think, yeah, it's a better state for the game overall. Looking at the Venator, it isn't stupidly the best PvP weapon and it's not even close anymore. Now it fits nicely in the S category, still towards the top of it by the way. I think it's a good thing that the Venator was nerfed and it was the first thing everyone was talking about in regards to PvP for balance changes. Next we have the Aphelion. It actually disappointed some people due to the effort to get the blueprint right now and then the expense to craft. But I think that's only fair if you just watch someone play it and not use it properly. Personally, I love its place in the special weapon category, and it's my favorite of that kind for its hilarious stopping power for your flyers and even the leapers, and has very viable and fun use in PvP. You just have to play around its effective range or use the weapon properly. Really, when I'm running an Aphelion, I just make sure I've got like a close range weapon in my hands, a shotgun or whatever. I'm not saying it's the best PvP weapon in the game, obviously. Like I say, I put it in A tier, not S tier, but it's not as bad as people first reacted, that's for sure. But lastly, the biggest topic here is the Hull Cracker and how this has really upset people. Is this good for the game? Well, I do think it was an important change for the game that was necessary in that the Hull Cracker was too good and too accessible, making bigger aspects of the game, all the bigger arc, kind of a joke. You know, the big fights of the Queen and the Matriarch, they were too easy because of it. But it's also fair to say that they've hit it in multiple ways that alone, one might have been a fine change. But instead they've compounded it with the many nerfs. Like, it's more expensive, it's less accessible, and it's weaker damage. If it was just one of those things, that would make complete sense and would be very justifiable in the context right now. But doing all 3 at once, having doubled up on the whole expense thing as well, I think that's definitely what's pushed it too far for people. So on this, I think they're actually going to walk it back. We'll see. They definitely did need to take Hull Cracker down a peg, but I think they've gone too far basically. But yeah, let me know what you think. How do you feel about my updated lists? Has this first balance patch been good for the game? What would you like to see them do in the future for the weapons? Let us know. For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.